Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming. We're covering Season 53, 5 vs. 5 Grand Arena Championship, Week 2 for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It's myself and the normal crew, Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha. Good afternoon, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing good, Tash.
Tired. Yeah. I
Long week.
myself... Well, yeah, I know for you, man. We'll cover that here. Just a sec. I was just about to say, I myself had a 2-1 week. It's easy when you lose your only legitimate match and then you get fed 2 Erodium. So that's my pro tip to all the folks at home is, get like me. Just get... that's how you get your dubs,
What
I
Cass
guess.
is trying to say is stunting is a habit. Get like him.
Something to that effect. How about you guys?
I went 1-2. But yeah, I think you guys saw my rant about my late last week being, real life got in the way of me being able to dial into GAC this week. I went 1-2. Irritated I lost my last round, but yeah, not a great week for me, both in real life or in game.
Well, fantastic. Glad to hear
Yeah.
it. I don't know. Sorry to hear that, though, unironically.
No, it's fine.
You guys?
I only had one real match, like you, Tash. It was one match against Randy, the Brilliant Zed account. I won that, but so I went 3-0, but 2 of them were, Erodium accounts. So it's a bummer to be kind of at the one match a week pace right now.
Yeah. TJ, you?
Oh yeah, we don't want to talk about TJ. TJ had a 0-3 from the first time in I don't know how long.
Whoa.
Goose eggs.
Yep, I've never had it like that. I've always gone a 1-2, so to go a 0-3 was a tough one. And I hate to say it, we'll call round 3 partial, whatever. But 2 out of the 3 ships.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
That'll
well,
do
we'll
it.
cover that in detail,
That'll do
because,
it.
yeah, you said about that. That was heinous.
Oh, pissed and phone throwing. The emoji where you throw your phone, it was ready, dude. I was questioning literally life decisions on if I'm just done with GAC for the shit that took place, dude. I'm okay with the discrepancy of like bad luck. I'm not okay with, dude. That yeah, it's 100%. Yeah, all right.
I don't believe it.
Not anymore, man. It's like yes, you have to overkill Holdo now as the confirmation. You don't get to take what works always, even the extra to be safe. Nope, that doesn't work either.
We've even talked about that, TJ, about how Zori will come in and just decides one of your ships is gone.
Dude, it's just like I said. We'll go to it, but for
it's
the drop, I even took the safety net.
Yeah.
Right? I even took ITB, and it's still just.
He still
plummeted.
got dirtied. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, guys, I know we're all excited to get into this. For you folks at home, there was no plotting and scheming last week because I had a issue with sound and it corrupted the sound on the file. But I was so excited because we were testing out an adjustment to the format here. Gonna try and get you a little bit more focus on the high priority fights that are defining, this week. In the neighborhood of the top 100 Kyber 1 is kind of the thrust of what we're going for. But it can be, lessons learned can be applicable downstream. That said, segment 1 is going to be meta-analysis. So we're going to just cover some notes about a few of the top teams that define the meta, how we're dealing with that, and how we're thinking about using those teams ourselves. First off, let's talk about GG Stap. With the Kron. Now, I know we had a lot to say about this privately, but I think just as a starting point here is it's excellent on offense and defense. It is one of the good counters to Leia.
Really quick.
Sure,
Really quick. It's absolutely donkeyed by Zori and Night Sisters.
I'm gonna give you some more
Zori
donkeys.
and Night Sisters.
Let me give.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me give some more hurts. I did a whole shitload of what became my 0-3 because of using GG Stap to test areas, right? One, I'll call myself an arrow because, like I said, I played too quick for my round 3, but I really wanted to see what GG Stap could do, and I found wholeheartedly. GG Stap is an amazing team for these others that don't get implicated by, I don't know, like Terminator, right? I took it against DTMG. Not even thinking about the whole Terminator thing. Hard pass, don't do that.
Yeah.
The other one that I took it against, and it's actually in my GG history, so you can see it. I took it against BKM. But again, the logic behind what you're doing is there's nowhere to hide your team, and because the team is going to delete the stat, the whole GG stat goes away. So I can speak wholeheartedly on what this GG stat gets to do, man. It is really good, but like Sid Cron
Did you really
or
feel that? Because when I did it, like, you just use B1 to top off your protection. I beat a BKM, and it was not close to being close.
she went in and deleted my stat before I could use my stat.
Oh no, you take Magna. That way she
No,
goes
I
after
had
Magna.
Magna. You're not listening. I had Magna in the team. It's on my history. What happened is I got to go with GG Stap. What happens then is they get to go on your GG Stap. Guess who got deleted? Stap.
Well, let me ask you this. What's your modding on Stab? Because since I talked about this last week, and it's not going to be in the damn video because Tass's computer decided it didn't want to listen to us.
Yes. But you can make good on that here and now.
Yes. But this week I tried the health cross on Stab, and boy, howdy, do I recommend.
I'm going to just say if she targets your Stap, when I watch my Stap go bye, I don't know how much affect the health build, if you're even going with the thickness on it, is going to stop the BKM from just pummeling my team. And it could be the situation of where I'll even take into account, let's say it's yours is the 20%, right? It's the same thing like I watched Zareth when it came to him taking Treya against BKM. Mm-hmm. And she decided to target Treya, and there was no more Treya. I could see that being in a case, but that's how hard it Dagger, when I say, but that's what I'm saying, right? I think let's take it into account it being the 20% of I chose you no longer exist or get to play the game. Now just be sad. And if that's the case, I see what you're saying, because I took exactly your team, and if you'll look, I only lasted 1 minute and 47 seconds because I decided to keep playing the fight.
But TJ, how long did the fight take?
Yep,
the fight was 3 seconds, buddy. Yes, but the fight was 3 seconds because I had already known I was done.
And then there's the 20 minutes of prep.
And dude, I did it for the entire match because it was like, but I wanted it to work. I want the GG stat to work, and it did. But those are what I've seen when I played this particular round of fives has been. I want to try Sid. What does Sid work on? Well, I got hard hit last week by Tryon. No, it does beat. We've talked about it. Star Killer. TLDR. If we could actually listen to last week's episode, we talked about this. It also beats Afra. It does do stuff, but you have to play within the realm of the fight. What it does not beat, it didn't beat the standard CLS. Sid just got dunked on. GG Stap. If Stap doesn't get to play, slow and behold, it's just a GG team, and then it's no fun. Then you're just sad.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I haven't looked at this week's history on what beats GG Stap, but I don't think I would place it this week. I think I would focus more on using it on things like Leia. I think Leia's going to have to come off defense because I kid you not.
Yeah.
Twice this week, I took GG Stapping against Leia. I pointed the cursor at Leia, and I hit auto and won.
That would be good to know.
Yeah,
if anybody
let me
used it
actually.
Failed.
I'll sort it out on screen if you guys are going to look, but I'll throw up GG Stap and see what it actually did on defense.
So I have all of one data point of attacking against GG Stap, but it's an interesting one. So I, in my match against Randy, ended up finding GG Stap on his back wall. I wasn't anticipating it.
Ooh.
And so it's not easy if you don't have everything left. What I went with, though, that worked, I wouldn't highly recommend, but like in a pinch you can go to it, is I use Tuscans. And Tuscans work. Yeah, so Dagger's familiar with this one, I know, but you want your Tuscans as thick as you can get it, and then GG Sap will kind of eat itself alive.
And it's got to be a Dalcron or something, or
no. You don't want out. You don't want that.
Yeah.
You want them to gain the turn meter. You just want health and protection.
Okay, so you just bulk up on a set 14.
That's right.
See, I see it's 58% here, but that's without having, filtered anything. I mean, I'm sure if I...
And I'll be honest, again, this is just from experience with it once, but and I went in without my Tuscans like remodded for it, so they were mostly modded for like damage. And I almost lost Warrior, I almost lost Shaman. So it easily could have been. I think I got a 60. It easily could have been like it could have been a 58 or a loss. But
Oh, look
it did
at
work.
this. I think you guys are right, just right on the money. Some of the successes off rip are just large chunks of health and protection. 460
Yeah.
banners. It looks like that's all the
Yeah.
better
I
that you could
believe-
expect. But wow, that is
Mhm.
budget for what
and-
this team is.
And I
these
mentioned
days.
this last week because I don't know if you guys remember, but I lost
Prove
the
it,
first time I
Dagger.
tried it. right?
right.
I lost the first time I tried Tuscans versus GG because I didn't have 60 health arrows. Or
Yeah.
health circles. So
Mm.
I
It's-
lost the first time
Oh,
I
yeah.
tried it. And then
Yeah.
I remodded, and it worked this week. Now I lost I don't have R7, and I didn't use the biggest bulk I could take. So I lost Shaman and a River.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had just taken a bigger Kron, it would have worked out okay,
Mm-hmm.
I think. But I still limped out with like a 57.
Mm-hmm.
I still think, and I only think the only time you need to watch out is I'm going to go to Dagger's point. I'm going to add one more from what I've seen and what I've tested on it. To Dagger's point, if the build is for durability, that makes the team harder. The other thing is, and I'm seeing it at the top, and I think you'll see it too, is when your Kron for GG Stap is built with like health in mind, and we're talking it's just dumping it umpteen largest amounts. And I even went and did mine this way. The team becomes more durable to stick around. That makes it harder on your, we'll call it off metas. When you're taking your
I think it
Night
makes
Sisters.
it easier.
See, I've seen it make it kill. I've seen it make it kill harder. Where it's like,
Oh, dude,
when
if
they're able to.
B1 and Stap are hitting you really hard, that's what did the most damage to me when I was using Tuscans.
Well, I know when I got hurt when I tried it with Nisus or something like that, it was because the health crown was like 100-something% health, or it was like an absurd number, and
Well,
the person
sure.
who got left alive was GG because he was so overran. But that's what I'm talking about. The only person left was GG. Don't get me wrong, but in this world or in this meta we're at right now, getting those holds is what really matters, right? If it can do that, and it's like I'll pull that, that's basically a win now.
Yeah.
Oh, worth noting, I have seen some people lose with Night Sisters with the Java modding. So don't mod your Night Sisters for tenacity. If you want to be beating this team,
Yeah.
people I've seen that have had more consistent success are the ones who have the potency builds back on their Night Sisters,
Interesting.
myself included.
I'll say that I just did a quick lookup on that, and if it's gonna produce a win for you, it is gonna be with the Dowcron right now. And there is, I know Zid was talking to me about this the other day. No, that's a different matchup. Never mind. But the Night Sisters can produce a 65. I know I did that in week 1 against the
I have
GG
as well.
step. It was definitely dicey. My DACA is Relic 9, and she was hanging on by a sliver before we managed to stabilize, and then it just rolled out such that we ended up with a 65. Got a little lucky, though, I would say. But I just want to put a note out there. So, Dagger, we were going to talk about Leia anyway, but before we move on to her, you were saying that GG Stap, probably not worth setting on defense. Likewise, Leia. And I think that's interesting because I was thinking about, as far as defensive forks go, I think there's very few that matter right now. But one of the few that I think's kind of been interesting weeks 1 and 2 was having something like GG up front and then Leia and Jabba in the back, all of which can be resolved by DTMG, or maybe you have Jabba and GG side by side. That doesn't make as much sense, I think. I don't know. But you see what I'm saying. Like, you don't think there's any merit in attempting... Do any of you think there's any merit in attempting a type of fork that way? Or is there something more interesting, less budget, expensive? I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I would really like to get Sasha's thoughts on this really quick, but I just want to make a note on that where I think it depends on your opponent specifically, because it depends on what they're going to set. I think if your opponent is going to set Leia, and you're sure they will, just save your GG Stap. There are so few clean answers to Leia, and by clean I just mean good banner, or like it doesn't feel chintzy.
That being said,
Right.
JMK with the kit and the Kit Fistocron, that was just and it's a stacking. It's a Jedi offense level 6. The level 3, I have stacking offense, but it doesn't matter because no one dies. You end up beating down the whole team for 65 banners long before you ever get the cooldown up for Cat to execute somebody. So that was excellent, I would say.
Do you remember the world where you said that you didn't think the Kit Fistocron was going to help JMK beat anything? Because I remember that one.
I did. I mean, I admit I was short-sighted in the sense that I don't think. No, I'll cop to that. I'll cop to having been short-sighted on it because never in my mind would JMK pop up in my default list of things that I would use to fight a Leia.
Yeah.
So to that point, very fair, very fair. You got me. But how about you guys? Any comments on the idea of that fork using GG Stap, Jabba, and Leia to any interesting combination on defense? What do you think about that, TJ, Sasha?
Yeah, I will say for me, it kind of comes down to that decision. Same thing Dagger pointed out. Like, then what is my plan for an opponent's Leia in the back wall? I've kept GG Stap primarily because I'm always a little worried about getting either stopped hard or having to multi-shot a Leia, and GG Stap is such nice Leia insurance that I've kept it. But the combo is really, really good, and so like that, those three, just because of the extreme demand that they put on DTMG and really is select few other counters that I like that idea. Jabba, I think, is pretty underrated at the moment on D. So I do like it. The decision, kind of that you talk about, sort of forks in the road. For me, it becomes: do you put JMK on defense or do you put GG Stap? And because I'm with you. I mean, I did see Randy got so with the Brilliant Zed account got a 65 against my I want to say it was against my Leia using a JMK with Kit Fisto. So like, if you do that, it's going to be a good it's the good alternative, but it's one or the other I want in my pocket for Leia.
Fair. And by the way, wait, is GG Stap producing a 65 on that fight, by the way?
No.
62 to 63 has been mine.
63 is a good one.
That's still all right. That's still worth it for what it is.
I will say this, because I think, and I mean, you can maybe go look at the data, but I think that there's a fair chance that Beck plus gas instead of GG Stap provides roughly the same result with that skewer.
Probably.
So I think that's worth considering.
I think
if you're trying to do that trap, I mean, specifically, like, sure, GG Stap's going to do it a little bit better, but
see, let me just say this about the well, no, sorry, go ahead.
Let me just ask. There's 2 points right now. The 11 teams you place matter, because it's not doing each one. So your question about Leia, right? And then if you're going to fork or whatever you're going to do, these 11 teams all really matter to determine how you can strain your opponent. So tendency, I think, is bigger than most times right now, because you can push that wall. Because I told you what I want to try and do, right? And I don't want to necessarily put it out there in public, but then again, it may not matter. But it's like the tendency of what you can use.
Are you 3 digits or 4 digits? Because if you're 4 digits, you can just tell the folks at home.
Oh, buddy, I'm 4 digits right now. I've never been this low in my life. But
then just tell the folks your plan.
It doesn't really matter, because the whole point is, if you save everything, then your plan, and I'm putting in air quotes if you can see me, like this big grandiose plan you're trying to do is irrelevant, because I have everything. And it's like, who's wasted 61? Now? Right. And that's what I'm saying, right? The big plan, like the easiest answer to me, and what Tass asked, is something special to do with the idea is like, yeah, if you put your GG Stap with your Zori and you put them together, that already gives you a point of reference that you have to, because Night Sisters are showing very effective. Dagger, you were calling this out in the blue, and I tested it, and even against stronger comps, my Night Sisters were working just fine. And that's without Rose, which was 465. 465. I was working just fine. But here's the point. You said GG Stap, it's Night Sisters, right? Or Tuscans. You only have so many teams that this is going to work on. And so the idea being, let me stress your off metas that are going to work, and then what you have in the back or what you have left now to deal with still require big comps or those good off metas. After a while, you run yourself out. And so it's like your question to me, easy. You put GG Stap with Zori, because now you're going to use the 2 teams or whatever it's going to be, and then you're going to try to stress it out and put in the back, put a Leia, put a Jabba, put all of the things that would be what else you would use.
That's an interesting archetype for a defense that is very heavy, because if you're going to set 2 teams like that, all right. Sorry, go ahead.
So, Sasha, you had something to interject on that.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I was going to say is if this is kind of nuanced on it, but if GG Staff is on D, in fact, like the reason I went to Tuskens was like plan C, and I'd already blown plan A, but plan B would have been Night Sisters. It's just a thing to be wary of, and the reason I didn't bring Night Sisters is it was a GG Stat Cron with like 140% health steal, and I don't know, I haven't tried it, if that would foil Night Sisters.
I got 110 for you. I got 110.
I will say this: my experience of that fight is B1 is just you're farming Plague on B1 and letting him spread it.
Okay.
And then once he dies, he loses his healing and it falls apart.
You were saying 100. You were saying 140. I was 30% off of you. But does it really matter? Are we really cutting hairs of it? But this is why I was like, so your point to that, it was high health still. I was already losing the fight, so it didn't hurt me to try. I still got a 65. Yeah. That's why it's like, okay, Night Sisters are really. Dagger was calling it out in some of the chats, and it was like they're really hounding down these counters. But if you don't have Night Sisters anymore, and you don't have these other counters that are going to work, you're then left with the others. And if I've drained you of one, you now have nothing left to take care of what's left.
And if your opponent, you see them, like they're setting a fairly typically heavy defense, and you know that they're going to need to rely on some type of off counter for that, God knows there's enough of our matches, guys, where if I can force you to use Tuskens and it works for 60 banners, I'll take it. Damn, I'll take it.
That's this meta right now too. If you're playing a game where it's like the 60 means the win or the loss, that does and can hurt you.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I think this provides us a good chance a good opportunity to talk about what I mentioned earlier with Beck, because Beck I think could slot in sort of to fill that with Gas specifically to fill that GG Stap role. Now, don't get me wrong, GG Stap has things you can just overkill it with if you want to. See, the sport that we're talking about is predicated on your opponent deciding that they want to DTMG the front one, because they're trying to like go cheap, air quotes, on the front wall.
Yeah,
that's why I talked about the tendency, because it's just not the same.
I lost my last round because my opponent saved everything, and he beat me by like 4 banners because he saved literally fucking everything.
Yeah. But I will tell you, when you talk about Beck, and I know we can talk about it, dude, Beck is still a monster, and you don't get to make all these decisions. There isn't some...
Reva cold cocks it, and JML just like trivializes it, especially with the cooldown.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Those are 2 really premier counters. And by the way, on screen here, I can see in my one match versus Zid, he used Seer Malicos here without OG Cal, who he kept in with his Ray team with the the debuffing strategy and stacking offense. So he ran this without Cal for a 63, and that's with Gas in it. And so Gas has no bearing on these 3 matchups that we've just mentioned. So Dagger, cover specifically, what does adding Gas in block out as a counter?
Specifically, the only thing I have found is bounty hunters and Imperial troopers.
Now, I wouldn't think to try bounty hunters, because a lot of there's some characters like on my Jedi team that are... I don't know if they're going to be as fast as like a 420 Bosk or something.
Here's where I'm going to call his comp better.
Here's the thing though. If you take Zam, it doesn't even matter.
All right.
So you just safely outrun them. Yeah.
You take Aura lead with Zam, you pop Anakin, and the fight ends. Like, it is so LOL over at that point. Like, I don't care that you have your stacks of Padawan lessons, and I don't care that like Cam exists. Like, my R9 Bosk is going to flick your ulti.
So he who strikes first strikes best with that, as usual. All right, fair point.
I just want to call it one thing that I like his better. I fought the one without the gas, right? I did it, and I did Seer. But I had Cal, and I had ATF. Mine went away for a 55. I'll call it the choice of who but the reason being is it was more light side than dark side. So because of that, the doubt and who they're going to hit. Like, when they targeted ninth...
Yeah, you had to take the prod up.
So I actually took one of a really good set 14. I took 55% protection. My other good Betcron, 55% protection with 32% offense. With the idea if somebody dies, they get in the buff because I wanted to like make the POW hit. And when they targeted ninth, it was like scratches on him, and then we're talking a good Beck setup. But when they targeted my ATF and my Cal, deletes. So seeing what Zid did here on yours is a perfect example because he has with the dark side, and these people can take the hits. They're not going to fade away, so it's a clean counter.
Yeah,
me
that's
taking,
of course a doubt crown and everything. Yeah,
right. But you see, me taking Cal
strong
hurt
crit
me.
damage.
Right, because it hurt me taking Cal and not having the more dark with the doubt.
Taking ATF hurts you.
Yeah, probably ATF wouldn't have been as helpful as having Cal, surely.
Yeah, Cal actually gives your team more survivability.
Yeah.
He definitely was not the reason.
ATF literally deleted JKA first move. There was no more JKA.
Yeah, not that she's required to be deleting people. Not that she's like who you're relying on to be doing the mass deletion on the enemy team.
My Cal was deleted next move though, so I
but I understand what you're. Two tanks that taunted, you wouldn't have had him delete.
Yeah. This is with the Dow Crown and everything. It's a different setup than you ran, but this would probably produce a different result.
Like I said, they're taking the 3 dark side on top of the doubt.
Right.
We could go back and forth on the Cal versus the ATF because he has ATF in his. But the point being, him having the 3 characters with the dark side and all of them being able to take those hits really brought it home. And so I was like looking at his comp there, to me that was a lot smarter from the fact of the doubt on top of them being able to take those hits really hammers down why that was so much better.
All I'm pointing out is that if Zid's ATF was a Cal, it would have been even safer.
Yeah, probably 64 like that.
You don't lack damage. You don't actually lack damage on that team at all. Malikos is the team.
All right, fair point. About Kelleran, sorry if we run in circles around here.
I'm at the point. Really quick. I'm at the point where I'm about to just put it back under Qui-Gon because I'm not trying to put gas there anymore after the last couple of weeks and seeing that like you were saying. The same things to beat Qui-Gon beat back. So at that point, I would rather have Qui-Gon lead to try to force the GL lead.
Yeah, I see that as fair. Yeah.
Well, and so are all of you guys consolidating those Galactic Republic Jedi then? Because I was in my match, I split.
Yeah.
And I went with the sort of turbo Qui-Gon with JK Cam and like a couple of friends. I think I had regular.
I think it's situational. I think at the top, the bringing the gas felt like a stronger setup because you only need 11 teams to place. So having the gas on the Beck felt like the stronger defensive comp. To Dagger's point, I think it's true. I'm not even sure. I still think
I had gas with
better.
Beck.
I still think the Beck lead is which just because the high proc cons of what Beck is doing in the Cron itself, I still think the Beck lead is going to hold better. But to Dagger's point, it's not going to change what kills it, right? What's killing that? It's still killing the Qui-Gon.
So to speak to the split, it goes back to when was the last time you used bounty hunters in GAC? Well, if you have Beck lead and they only have JK or gas, you just kill that one character that matters. And the rest of the team just does not have enough damage.
Pretty unsavory, and you wouldn't be able to pull that off on a Qui-Gon team.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Is that? Sorry, go ahead.
Just be clear, Darius. You're saying like a Beck, Mace, Gas, no matter who the other 2 Jedi are, is fodder for bounty hunters?
No, he's saying in absence of gas on that Beck team.
Right, but I split
No. Oh, I'm saying in absence of gas and JKA.
Okay. You basically have to have 2 big booming damage dealers.
Yeah, because otherwise you just do the aura lead, you snipe off their big damage dealer, and then you just chip away at everybody else. Because you were saying you didn't have Cam there either?
So like, no, I put Cam in the other one. I mean, again, it's the only poor Randy, like we're going over the Zid account again and again because it's the only opponent test I have. But both of mine ended up drawing, I think GLs or Seer Malikos or something.
Well, Zid also saved 7 GLs for offense or some shit like that too.
Something like that,
yeah. Yeah. So no, I'm simply pointing out that I'm with TJ on this. You only set 11 teams. And then I think that the split is slightly worse. I don't think it's a lot worse, right? I'm not trying to say it's a lot worse.
Yeah.
But for people who listen to this show, right? I'm speaking to people who want to listen to this show. I think it's worse.
It's a 64 here. Seeing what Zid did, I got it on screen here, and he used the same composition against Sasha that he did against me. We both have gas in there. I also had Cam, and for all the good it did, it taxed him one more banner, right? So,
And then
yeah,
take a look at Qui-Gon. So I know he took on my Qui-Gon probably slightly above or right around there.
Star Killer.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, Star Killer, not
this
a
is
GL.
why I'm glad you're talking about this, because I considered this split before, like a Kelleran and a Qui-Gon, because, and I see why you would still keep Qui-Gon JK Cam, like that is the core of the threat. I also appreciate that you don't have Kit in there, you retain that for your JMK. This looks very, very nasty in itself. Like, I don't know that you get to treat it a whole lot different for not having like Mason Kelleran tagged on the end instead of Ayla. And what is that? Is that that is Ahsoka.
Yeah, so she goes every time somebody's using a special.
So you don't find that your JMK was in any way hobbled? Well, you set it on defense, so you weren't trying to sweat it either way. I see what you did. Okay, I feel you.
It's still high survivability. I mean, you take a look at the datacron I put, and that's about trying to get somebody to time out. And
my breakdown is just simply that I think that the Beck team without the two big AoEs is just slightly worse than something else I would want to set.
Yeah. But it also
I'm not here trying to say it's actually bad, right? I'm simply saying that
it's on the margin.
Are like, yes, correct.
Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, with what you're saying there, I can see it. Like, there will be opponents, further down the road outside of the top 100 that would be needing to rely more on something value like a bounty hunter counter to a Kelleran. But like here, just a case against somebody like Zid, you're talking about you're talking about he was going to use Seer anyway, so nothing was going to stop this. But that adds value to the split though. If he's gonna sear this, and then you maintain a Qui-Gon team besides, that's pretty solid.
It's also just a terrible. The other thing too is you guys only had one fight each, and it's such a terrible thing to try to extrapolate to the rest of the board for everyone else. Because Randy is such a ridiculous save literally everything for offense guy.
That's fair. That's fair, but it's also who we're fighting. So
I know, but there's you guys even know this in the top 100. There's like 3 cheesers total, and he's one. Most people are still setting like multiple GLs and a little bit stronger defenses and not overkilling literally everything on the board.
But that's all I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying though. Consider that how much he saved for offense. How else can you almost impossible to force a drop on him. But I love the idea of this split because he's like, well, now what am I going to do? I guess I'm going to Star Killer it. I'll probably 65. No, I got a 60. That's about as good as you would get.
Yeah, but my point is you're hyperfixating on one opponent and not the macro at large.
Well, I'm specifically talking about the value derived just about this split. I only have this one match to cite as a data point, but I am saying just as a type for a defense here, like having Qui-Gon and Kel as distinct teams sounds like a really great experiment for week 3 because as we've been talking, like you still kind of have to treat Qui-Gon proper. If you've got the speeds to disqualify Bad Batch. Sorry, you were going to say?
All I'll say is if you fight against me, please do that because I'm going to Bad Batch your Qui-Gon and Bounty Hunter's your back.
I bet you won't Bad Batch my Qui-Gon.
I'll bet you I will. Shaak Ti exists, asshole.
Yeah, that won't save you. I've seen people try. It doesn't save them.
Anyways, enough of that aside.
Yeah. All right. I think it's fine.
Interesting. I think it's interesting, but yeah, I think in a world where you're trying to manufacture holds, I think it's going to be completely opponent dependent. And your opponent's going to save everything, like you guys were saying.
Yeah.
The split does look a little bit better.
Yes.
But this is where the scout comes in.
I exactly what I said, man. It's that dependency. Their tendency and what they're going to do is 100%. That's what I was talking about. Where all this scouting or this plotting and scheming we're going to do doesn't mean shit. Just like Dagger said, if you literally keep everything, then we're just trying to sneak across more points, and it's now we're down to the other game of who can be better across, more efficient per fight.
And because we're running kind of like long on this, we've already kind of talked about Leia.
Well, yeah,
But
I was actually just about to steer us. Like the Leia thing was interesting in the context of the fork, but I think pretty much everybody has their counters for it. We've discussed that you can do GG Stap. There's the JMK with the Kit Fisto, and of course Bane. But a lot of people are saving Bane to deal with whatever permutation of Rey that you're facing out there in the wild.
SOK still works, so it's not even like it's a thing. It's
yeah, that's true. SLK armor still works. That's true, and that's a great point. Slacker on defense for me has not proven effective.
It's funny. It's funny when I just want to call it real quick when we talk about this, right? It's like Leia's like third rate or something now. Like she does some good stuff, but it's not like we're talking about Beck. Beck holds a stronger meaning, in my opinion. Like that's scarier right now than you have Leia on defense. Yeah, you have to account for it. And to Sasha's point, I don't want to call this out. It's not nothing. A loaded Leia is not a nice thing, but neither is like a loaded JMK. They're all on equal footing right now. These Krons are still monster Krons. So it's just something that you want to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think Leia is the most prohibitive GL if you don't have a good answer right now.
But there's a lot of answers. I didn't
say that. I'm saying that like if you set GG Stap and if you use your JMK versus something else, you have like Slacker for 55, or it's like, yeah. But I'll just say one thing I will say is this: that Rey resistance team that I've been setting, it was only one shot once, and it was by C Bane.
Yeah. Nice, Sasha. You sounded like you were trying to say something there toward the end.
Well, one of the Leia counters, and the fact, like, it kind of raised that point. Like, if she's kind of C tier, what else can you use? But one of the things that pops up in .gg as I look at it now, and not something I've used, but is CLS, like old school CLS, who's like this afterthought. I think I'd have to go pick them up out of the garbage out back. Like, they have like almost a 50% success rate this season out of like 170 attempts against R9 Leias in Kyber 1.
Wow.
That surprised me.
So just in case of emergency, break glass kind of thing. Interesting.
Yeah. 167 attempts. Okay. And the only thing I've sorted by is Kyber Division 1, and it's like 47%. So.
All right. Well, guys, let me steer us in a different direction now. I think we could talk about a couple other things, but I want to keep us on time.
Stop setting Zori. Stop setting Zori.
Yeah. The last note was trying Finn Zori on defense. I know that, like I was saying earlier, Night Sisters can take on Finn Zori of any kind, with or without Holdo. It can be a bit dicey, but that's maybe not everybody's experience, because I hear a lot of folks saying it's been very easy for them. The point is that it isn't worth it to save on defense when on offense it can fight, Reva Ray, it can fight any other Ray, it can fight BKM, like Zid used it to take on my BKM. That was impressive. Sorry, you were going to say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jabba, BKM, GG Stap. I used it against DTMG.
Now, to have the best offensive application of that team, you do want to reserve Holdo and the Holdo Cron for it.
No. I use JTR. You're going to love this.
Please.
OG Finn lead, OG Poe, Rose. Or no, was it OG Finn? It was OG Finn, Zori, Rose, JTR, BB-8.
So all I'm going to say, if you want
super easy, super clean.
For the general
DTMG,
masses, for the general
and JKA.
For the general masses, and if you don't want to think about it, saving your Holdo one is the easiest, just gets the job done.
Way to stomp something out, I guess. Yeah, but that is interesting as a value buy to set a tougher raid defense, I guess.
I don't see what's tougher, but yeah, sure.
It depends on what you're trying to block out. It won't stop Bane.
Yeah, go look at Seer. Go look at Seer versus that Ray Resistance and just have yourself a shock.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I'm not really seeing a lot of opponents try doing Seer against Ray this season, the folks I'm around, but I take them
all try to do Seer, but it's like, even if they're not,
and if my ranking started with 4 digits, I might too.
All right. Let's get back on purpose here, guys. Next segment, new segment, offensive gambles. All right. If we had been a little bit more disciplined about the time, we might get to do more than one each. But guess what, you sumbitches? We're gonna pick one attack of this week that was either a success or a failure. It's your choice, but it's an attack that you want to highlight as your gamble of the week. So, Dagger, how about you go first? I've got
Bootleg
you somewhere.
Bootleg Zori versus Bo.
There. All right.
Basically full on.
Bootleg. Which round was this?
This was on Nomad's account, I believe.
Oh, so you don't have it on your main account. I was trying to pull it
No,
up.
okay. On my main account, I used it against DTMG. I'm pretty sure I did that on my account.
Oh, okay.
And it was
Okay.
like not close to being close.
Let's see where you used your bootleg.
It was
All right,
round
you didn't
2.
use it round 1.
It was round 2.
Round 2. Okay. Okay, so you did Finn Zori versus Saw. Full bore Saw.
Oh, that's what it was. And it was super easy.
And look at this.
Like,
This is
not even a count.
ratchet. Look at this team comp. This is ratchet as hell. That is stellar. I'm really very impressed. That's pretty cool.
And
63
and
in
it
2
wasn't
minutes.
close to being close either.
No, 63 banners in 2 minutes. Like, that is just a curb stomping by any definition.
It basically, the last 45 seconds of that fight were trying to get Buff immunity on SRP.
Yeah, so if you did happen to, have Resistance Hero Poe, that would have been a little smoother, a little easier.
Or just Poe in general, because Poe, I think, does on his thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, well, that's a good one. All right, TJ, how about you? Gamble of the week. What you got?
There were all fails on it, so I'm not gonna. There's nothing that's gonna call anything out. Because I was trying everything to see what would work and what wouldn't work.
What about it? All
So
right, so
anything-
if none of the fail gambles were interesting, any attack successes?
Success. Everything was
was a game.
pretty much the standard that you know about. DTMG versus Java. I was trying all the other things like that. The only one I was telling you was where I was testing my limits on was GG Stap, and then trying to play with that.
I like this. This is good here. Sidious, you did Sidious versus Afra, and see, folks, like if you don't have something like Hondo in here, yeah.
Oh, that's what I was telling you before. Yeah, it doesn't work, man. There's nothing
that's
unless you put something to stop it. Don't set Afra. It's just gonna.
Gotcha.
It doesn't hold, dude. Yeah, it doesn't work,
Gotcha.
man.
All right, good stuff. Sasha, how about you?
Yeah, well, I think the most relevant one is what I already called out, which was Tuscans against GG Stap, and there's a banner bleed. It's not 100% comfortable, but because GG Stap draws out a few select counters, and if you find yourself without it, it's nice to know that you can break glass and go to the Tuscans. But the other thing that I'd call out is, and this is one that's probably relevant for last week only, but it was a 4-man Gungans against Trench with a Trench Cron, even with an entire, I think, R9 separatist Trench squad, the Django, Dooku, Watt, Newt, and you just go, that was without Jar Jar before Jar Jar's release, and it was a very comfortable 66 banners.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was, again, that was just a moment in time.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that is a snapshot that we'll probably never see quite the same way again. But that was interesting. Now,
Right.
for my part, I wanted to highlight just this one attack. Sidious versus the Savage lead Treya. I don't think it was. It might actually matter that it was Savage lead, and I'll explain here why. So this Kron has 20% offense on it and about 64% health. All right. This Talon was modded for crit damage and a decent amount of offense. So off rip, I link Savage and I link Treya because these are the first two I want to go. So and Talon, I believe, starts the fight in stealth anyway, so I didn't even have the option to link her if I wanted. That said, yeah, she put a ton of pressure on me. A ton of pressure. Like, we're talking, like, by the time I could transform, I'm like 30% health, no protection, right? I flip the switch, I transform, I manage to zap out Savage and Treya. Now I have to make a decision. At low health, do I relink Scion and Nihilus, my preferred targets, to just straight up delete and, basic out Talon as I can? Or do I stop her from being able to crit me by making her one of my linked targets, knowing that I'm now making maybe kind of a problem myself? Who's my other link? Am I going to delete out Nihilus? Am I going to delete out Scion? I felt like deleting out Nihilus was the better call because I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to slap fight him in a satisfactory way over the course of the fight. But the real lesson is that, I did manage to survive. I stabilized. I got rid of Talon and Nihilus with the second zap. Now it's just me and Scion duking it out for about 2.5 minutes in this fight. And And what I had failed to know, I guess, not even realize or remember, but it's his lightning has the anti-revive built into the lightning itself. It does not require that the target is linked. And so often am I used to relying on the delete for being, from the linked targets and thinking, yeah, they're also not coming back. And somehow my brain had that associated with them being linked. But it is the act of killing with the lightning, whether or not it's a linked target. So what I ended up kind of just haphazardly doing was just kind of, beating him down, wasting time and zapping him and timing out on Scion. Whereas, the chat pointed out, if I had just whittled him down so he was really, really low and saved the lightning for the last killing blow, I could have won the fight. That said, I wanted to mention this Kron and the Savage lead, the huge, enormous health provided from both the Kron, the Treya and Savage Omicrons. He was just enormous, and then with increased defense besides. So, I'm looking at the fight, like I'm remembering doing the fight and seeing Sith Eternal, like when he's popping lightning just on auto at this point, he's doing 20% or less of Scion's health in a single hit. So that's all that mitigation and health kicking in. So I really would have had to slice him down right into the red and risk almost killing him and having him respawn and immediately using Hell by Hatred again. But I'd have to really risk taking him down very low to actually be sure that lightning was going to be enough to land the killing blow. So, good lesson there. Really good lesson learned about, proper usage of C. I also beefed up my offense a little bit on Talon. My Talon's like 290, 80,000 health, and 10k offense with a crit damage triangle. I made sure that my Sith Kron that I run for this team next week has more offense in it, because, that is kicking. And Sith Eternal, especially in the case of this match, my opponent didn't have any of my normal food for Sith Eternal to eat, so this was going to be probably the best matchup for Sith Eternal, and this applied a lot of pressure on that, so I just wanted to really highlight that one. Guys, standout defenses. Again, typically it'd be interesting to cover a couple, but just one for now. Your favorite defensive performance of the week. Dagger.
I already kind of gushed about the Ray team, so I'll just say that the After experiment was interesting, but I just don't really see a world where I think it's going to be consistent after watching Zareth like CLS. And he got a couple holds this week. Mm-hmm. But I just want to highlight it as it did its job for me this week. Mm-hmm. Bad banners plus holds. But going forward, I just don't know if that team is going to be effective. Right? We're going back to like what we talked about earlier. I think there's a fair chance that the GR Jedi split with Beck and Qui-Gon is just better than setting out.
That's probably a fair consideration. Yeah. All right.
And I'm not saying I'm going to do either of those things. I'm just saying that I've watched a couple other people fight after this week, and like TJ said, like even if Hondo is there, mm-hmm. Night Sistered, mm-hmm. CLS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, CLS.
It got Tuskened. Like, no. I'm not in for those budget answers. You know what I mean? Like very Sidious. Good. If you don't, anyways, I'll just kind of leave it there. But yeah, I'm not in the business of giving my opponent Dash Vandor. That's right, Dash Vandor. And then Sasha's favorite young Lando with L3.
Mm-hmm. Taking on Afra, yeah. Fair.
Yeah, I'm just not in the business of giving my opponents a way to use teams they wouldn't otherwise use.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. TJ, how about you? Your favorite defense of the week?
This is going to sound funny. Malgus.
Speak it. Let's hear. Against what did he crash and burn on? Here, let me pull it up.
Go pull up my round 2.
Yeah.
And we'll call it, I don't care, user or whatever. I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. But round 3, it pulled a C, which is fine.
Well, what round am I looking at? You said round 2.
Round 2, if you look at round 2, it pulled his Jedi, and he failed. Because you're already forking Jedi, right? You need the good Jedi. So the thought was that the Malgus, with the high health, it's the new Kron, and I got a hold.
I don't think that was round 2. Let me see here.
Sure was. Round 2.
Because I thought I just looked at it. I thought the only drop
Lord
was on
Andrew.
your Qui-Gon. I'm open to being wrong about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the Qui-Gon.
No.
I've got it on screen. I'm not trying to.
Looking at it, it was no, because I only placed it round 2.
Yeah, but you seeing the screen I'm seeing, right? Like
I said stream paused. But
Oh.
I'm looking at my round second attack from Lord Andrew, and no,
am I looking? Did this not? I'm not. Yeah, it's showing your previous week. That's my bad.
Oh, but if we go,
Well,
to Lord
that's why I
Andrew,
had it on screen. You could have pointed that out.
I couldn't talk when it's paused. But if you look at it, so you look. So
yeah, so he went Bastila Lead Jedi Cal, and he went set 13. He didn't go with the Jedi Cal Kron. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But that's fine. But then if you go look at the round 3, he decided to take a C, and I pulled a 59. So to me, I'll call those wins in that old school Malgus with the new Kron doing dirt. But
Yeah.
now let me also add credit in there. Super high health. I have and I even made it higher now. But that was like a 77% health. So this is a monster Malgus. This is a monster Malgus.
Yeah, that is not a game.
It's not like you're not looking at some standard Malgus, and it's even worse now. So it's even better. But
and see that the SAS is there with the SAS Kron. I like that. There's a lot of acceleration built into that.
But that was cool seeing that it, one, kept a hold, and two, took some banners. So and
he put respect on your name too. I mean, he took set and armor, and still, looked like there was.
And
some
it's going to be worse
to
today. I'm up to like 90% health, so it's like I even went because it was like, woo, this is pretty. So the number's going to do this. So my one, old school Malgus.
I think that's a really smart consideration. I know you and I talked for a couple of the rounds strategy planning about putting Malgus back on defense. And I know that the last 5 vs. 5 meta was defined by saving Malgus to crush things like People's Tricked Out DTMG and the like. There's, there's some merit to reconsidering rotating him back, because we were just talking about, feeling for what we could actually put on week 3 that matters. That's a good one.
Right. And what's funny is where it's at. That's bottom front. I didn't hide. This wasn't a trick where I hit it. This was right out in the open. You're going to start the fight on it, and that was a with
a 90% health Kron. There's no need to gamble. Like literally, just please try to fuck around with this. No, I see why you did it. It's a good idea.
Yeah, and that was just from our discussion. It was like, you only have so many Jedi, and you have to respect what Jedi you're going to put on the team. You don't get to just take substitutes. True. And that was the thought. Either I'm going to steal from you, but also. This was built specifically for the guy who didn't have everything he needed. So I had outs to hold it. But even then, if you had everything, you still have to respect the decision you're going to make. And if it's not a 65, you're screwed. And I'll take that.
Okay. Sasha, how about you? Your favorite defense of the week?
I might have gone to TJ's. I think is spot on. I might have gone with that because I did Malgus bottom front just like TJ. Not as strong a Kron as his, but like. Similar thought, and it was Sith Assassin Kron, so that would have been up there. The only one that I think got like a legitimate hold for me was actually the Saw Turret Bays, and I know that has a decent amount of counters now, but as I guess I'm just sort of paying it a little bit of respect because this has shifted down a little lower in sort of the stack rank of prioritized attacks for people. But if you don't have the right stuff for it, it's still really unforgiving.
This is so cool because I'm looking at this. I got on screen right now. When Zid and I were talking after I fought him in round 2 and you fought him immediately after me, I saw he was doing this Darth Vader, Lord Vader counter with Lord Vader, Thrawn, and Royal last week. And I took it for myself and used it. And I pulled off a 66. It was awesome. He and I were talking about it. And he was thinking, I think you could even do better trying to leave something like Royal off the bench. And sure than shit, he tried it against you and ate dirt on it. So, Yeah, because that means that Chirrut got one chance to go and look at somebody, and then it kind of went right out the door because there's your 146, 146 battle length.
And to be fair, the full 4-man that gets to 66 was a creative comp, and it worked really well. But so there it was. Sort of line was drawn and then line sailed across.
And just to mention to you folks at home, that Darth Vader, Lord Vader, Thrawn, and Royal counter to the current Saw Chirrut base thing, you want to have ideally, what I only did it this one time, but I found it was really super smooth to making sure that you got like that really max banner thing. You want that level 6 on an Empire Cron set 13 where you're gaining prod up whenever Empire allies are gaining turn meter, that one. And then I see that Zid has done this with doubt and without doubt. I did it with the max health percent damage on level 3 for Darkside, and was very satisfied with the results. But you do need a cron of basically at least that level 6. I think if you're looking to get the 64, otherwise you can, or 66. Otherwise you'll get something like a 64.
After you do yours task, pull up how many Jar Jars are in the game.
How many Jar Jars are in the game? Where do I go for that?
You go to unit count.
Okay, I'll look in a minute. As far as my favorite defense of the week, I only had the one match against Zid. So I'll just point this out. He is of the habit of saving Leviathan for offense. If you are trying to tax that or possibly cause it to drop, your only option is to set your own Leviathan. You would also need to have, a Relic 9 Sith Assassin if your opponent has a Relic 9 Sith Assassin. So you need equal to or greater than, Relic level of your opponent for Sith Assassin. Sorry, you were saying, Dagger?
No, sorry, I coughed.
Oh no, all good. And what I found is Zid had a drop last week against Leviathan, so I said, well, if I'm gonna try and jam him up at all, it's probably gonna be there. And it's B28, Fury, and Sith Assassin up front. Then you want Phantom 2, Mark 6 Interceptor, and then whatever. But Dagger and Scimitar could be your last two ships. But the 1-2 punch of Phantom 2 bringing in Mark 6 shortly thereafter is about one of the only things you could do to possibly get, their tank deleted or something even more forbidding in the moment. That being said, it was, I think, the lowest banner fleet clear on his attack for 71. So even when it worked all according to plan, he still lost Fury on attack. But secured a 71. So I just wanted to highlight that because he didn't drop anything on my entire defense, and this was probably the closest we came to really putting attacks on him. It worked in terms of it drew the most banners off him of any of my fleet defenses, but I just want to point out, like, if you're seeing an opponent really using Leviathan on attack routinely, this comp is the key to really trying to put any stress on it. Dagger, did you have something you want to throw in, or any of you guys? On that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, there's nothing you can really do besides hope that Mark 6 comes in and the taunt is down, right? When Mark 6 comes in, you have to hope that the taunt is down and that it can pop sass, and that's the only real way you have to convincingly walk away with a mirror.
But basically, any other defensive orientation of Leviathan wouldn't even put that much pressure on Leviathan on attack otherwise, that kind of thing.
Oh, I'm of the mind if my opponent saves Leviathan, that's a win for me.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for me. Now let's pivot right to, your final thought / lessons learned here. Because I know Sasha's got to get running, and I know, I've got dinner coming up here in a second. So let's have Sasha go first here. Sasha, your final thought and/or, lesson learned that you want to leave with the people.
Well, it's more to looking forward, and that is, I guess, 3 words: Gungans bottom front. Everybody be ready. And one thing that I guess I'd say I wish the board was bigger, but it is kind of cool, at least with a new squad that's got 3 GAC Amis on it, and does a lot of interesting stuff. That it can just, for the time being, be dropped on B and make defenses a bit more robust, at least for the first 36 hours until everybody's got it figured out. But so I'm just I'm excited for that this week. And then and I guess the one thing I'll add into it is one of the things I really enjoy about this game generally is the community and the sort of creative thinking, I mean, all of the sort of theory crafters out there, and it's fun to see people take different angles and approaches to new puzzles like the Gungans. And so, yeah, I'm sure we'll be spending most of next week's episode on that topic, but that's mine.
Very good, very good. Use them to Boomba, for sure. Back here, we'll go back through to TJ. How about you? Your lesson learned and/or pearl of wisdom
I'm
to
excited.
leave the folks with.
Yeah, I'm excited for Gungans, dude. But I am excited because where I'm at is for everybody. If you're facing me, it will be bottom front. I'm not even don't even think there's a trick to it. Figure them out. I have decked mine out. It's got all the ohmies. It's got all the trimmings. It's like Sunday dinner. You may eat all you can. I will probably be playing with the Datacrons. That's for sure. But oh yes, there will be blood.
Very good, sir. Dagger, your pearl of wisdom / lesson learned.
Why don't you go? I have a slight rant at the end of this.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, yeah. I'm hoping I have more than just one real match this week to see if there's a couple things to try. But yeah, we've already hit on a couple of the teams that don't set on defense, like the Finzori thing. I really have to say, last season and I don't know, both in 3s and 5s, the last couple of seasons, our meta's been less about heavy bottom front and more about creative draws, trying to set up something based on your opponent's tendencies where we're otherwise so efficient. The only way you really could put some pressure on them is to try and draw against what they want to do with their B teams. Maybe get a lucky drop up front, and now they're having to use something proper to get through it, and now they're taxed in the back. But, opponents are going to save enough to just kind of run through you. So setting like a lesser team to draw a B team like I was doing with something like Finzori, I think it's time to move on to that. Check your history, check what your opponents were clearing you with, and adjust up. Ask yourself, are you satisfied with what they used to clear that team? And if you're not, you need to be rotating something just a little bit better on it and give it a go for week 3. Otherwise, they're going to read you like a book if they look at your history. All right, Dagger, over to you.
First, I just want to highlight something that because last week's show didn't go live, Cass made a comment during this section of last week's show where he said started from the bottom. And I made a comment after the outro about this motherfucker thinks he's Drake, which has not aged well in the last week. If you are dialed in,
It's true. It's very true.
But no. So my takeaway is like these guys. Me say excited for week 3. Betcha. Outside of that, I just wanted to talk for a moment about how irritating it is. Do you guys remember when they brought out the Datacrons a week before Thanksgiving, like a week early, right?
Sure.
And people were upset. They are tying an exclusive level 9 Datacron to 7-starring a marquee.
Can you explain what that means? I was confused by that announcement since you decided to bring it up.
The only way that, to our knowledge, the way they said it is exclusive, which to me means the only way to get the new Obi-Wan level 9 Datacron is to 7-star this character. Now, we don't know how good the level 9 is, but I just want to say that really quick. Sorry. Just let me finish my thing, and then everybody can have their thing. I am beyond irritated, pissed that CG would do dumb shit like this because they've done such a good job with Datacron so far. They've made them more accessible than everyone else. They've done this, and this. And it just really I don't say boils my blood, but it really pisses me off that they would tie an exclusive level 9 to a 7-star character. That's why I asked you to look up how many Jar Jars were unlocked. Right?
Okay, I only want to say one thing before I jump right there with Dagger. The only thing I want to say, I will give Meathead props on being way more proficient at getting information out. Where there is bad things that come into play is the communication is not the best spot on. Can we wait? All I'm saying is before we pull pitchforks, can we wait to see what the Datacron coming out is? If
it's not about the data.
It's not
about what Datacron is. It's about the idea. It's the idea.
I understand. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying that if it was truly an actual exclusive, where you have to actually get a 7-star unlock to get this Datacron, Dagger's 100% right. That's bullshit that we're going to get something.
Yeah, it seems like an arbitrary restriction.
But if it's in fact going to be like everybody else can get it too, if you get it like
That's not what exclusive means.
But that's why I'm saying they're not the best at communicating what it's going to be. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, can we wait before we throw the pitchforks? Because you're right, if it's in fact that. But they aren't the best at using their wording to come across with as it should be.
I think for them to do the mental gymnastics to walk this back and say, "Oh, we didn't mean exclusive. We just meant
they won't.
There aren't a lot of meanings to exclusive, to be fair.
Right, but
that's what I'm saying. Like the amount of mental gymnastics they would have to go through to backpedal on this. This is why I'm putting the rant out there, TJ, is to get them to backpedal on this.
I don't want them. I just want to see. All I'm asking for is to wait. It should be this week, right? We should be getting Datacron details this week. If they come out and set 15 says nothing about this level 9, but you get this thing by doing a 7-star, that's a bitch move, and I'm sorry. That CG deserves what they're going to get. I'm just saying historically.
I just don't see a lot of definitions for exclusive.
But I'm not disagreeing with you, but they haven't done a lot of good wording with a lot of things they put out. They've missed a lot of shit, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing on the word exclusive. I'm not fighting your definition.
We'll have to see how it all looks when it wraps up.
Because do I think you're wrong? To me, you're right. The definition of exclusive means you get this if you buy the character. Now,
yes, I'm saying that if they change their mind, if they air quotes come out and say we changed our mind, or they say that's not what we meant, it's because people like me go on the platform that they have and tell them this is bullshit.
Or meathead.
And that is why everyone who has a platform needs to stand up and say this is bullshit, because they've done such a good job with Datacrons up in 2 now, for the most part, that this is complete.
I'm just asking to wait. Before we soapbox, I'm just asking to wait because he could have saying it could be timed exclusive. What if the only meathead?
Can I ask a quick question here? Quick question is so the meaning is that if you don't have this character unlocked, that means that if let's say that you're setting set 15 Datacrons have something like it's Galactic Republic, okay,
right.
And of the Relic 9s that you could roll, if you are rolling up a cron from 8 to 9, then this new Kenobi would not be a possible result if you don't have it. Now, so let me say this then. If you aren't specifically going for him, is that not strictly better that that's not possible? And that way you can get an actual level 9 that's applicable.
What if it's God mode?
Yeah. I'm not fussed about this specific level 9. I'm worried about when they decide to tie an exclusive Datacron to a legendary unlock.
No,
you're worried about the precedent more than the case.
Where the potential goes and the pay to
correct
the pay to play of what Dagger's talking about actually has huge implications. I'm not disagreeing with that. That's because that's in my opinion, that's an unfair advantage when they've always harped and tried to keep a fair advantage. Right? Let's not talk about the JKR gate. Let's not talk about these other gates that have come in. But at every point, there was a solution to the problem they created. Actually giving something where, like, let's say it's not, but now you get this Datacron, which we all know what Datacrons do, and it makes them something like that. They haven't told us is that an open-ended Datacron? Would this be the first open-ended Datacron that will ever exist? Whereas, like, if you bought this character, you have this now forever cron. They haven't. That's why I talk about bad communication skills, where these things matter. If Meathead missed a word, and it was timed exclusive, you're going to have 30 days advance of having this Datacron so you can use it wherever you want to use it. Well, you should go back and check. But that's my point. It's like we have to assume. So Tash, you ask a very valid question. We don't know, and that's the problem is we have to start making assumptions, just like this whole GAC thing.
But my point is that if you have a platform and in any way can make them change their mind or do the mental gymnastics and say that's not what we meant, I believe it is my responsibility to take a moment to tell CG that if this is not what you mean, clarify, and if this was your plan, please don't.
All right. Well, fair enough. Guys,
Sasha, really quick, Sasha, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Sasha might have had a dip, actually.
Probably.
Oh,
no, Sasha's still here, but he's probably...
Hey, no, I'm here. Sorry, I was just getting ready to jump. But no, look, I totally understand where you're coming from, Dagger. And I guess because we have such a long history with CG and their ineffective communication, I'm kind of reserving judgment. But I didn't know if it's exclusive to Padawan Obi-Wan. Like, for example, maybe it's just some like novelty thing and it's just applicable to that character. Or is it exclusive to those that only get them in the first week. It talks about there's a first time reward for the penultimate tier of the marquee. I don't know. I do worry that it gets overpowered. In the latter part of the life cycle of games like these, they tend to do more desperate revenue grabs, and the means of doing it is letting people buy advantages for limited periods of time. This may be an overreach. I don't doubt, like, if it is what you're fearing, I share your concern.
Yeah.
I just am not quite sure how to interpret what CG's doing.
Right.
But and on the flip side of it, Dagger, though, the one thing I will say is, like, in some way, shape, or form, I mean, the way this game supports itself is by getting people to pay for advantages over short periods of time. It can't be prohibitive advantages because that destroys the competitive balance of the game, and that's a total disaster. But if you were to reframe it as, like, okay, instead of an exclusive, datacron, which we don't know the life cycle, like, let's say it's a 60-day datacron or something. Instead, they just made this character really, really good, and only people that paid to get him right at the beginning had him for 60 days before everybody else. It would be comparable. It'd be, a different means of sort of achieving the same end. So I'm not sure what this is going to end up being. I'm reserving judgment. I totally understand where you're coming from, and it's like the optimist in me is just not letting me go there yet until it's pretty clear.
Yeah, like I said, I just believe those with the platform should voice their concerns for things like this. I don't like the precedent if it's the case that I outlined, but I'm not disagreeing with any of your guys' points. Like I said, this is just we're going to get, right? Like, this isn't about us. This is about, I would like other people to also be able to play this stupid game.
I just want to see what they do. That's all I want. When Step 15, I think the bombshell that's going to be, and I think where everybody's waiting, if nobody's responding and they're not saying anything, I think they may be hopefully taking what I would call what's not shit is perfect. The optimistic hope that it was just a bad wording, again, or something else. And when Step 15 information drops, it drops where it's like, you get it a week early. I know we're going to be doing these other Datacron level 9s, but you get this in advance of that by unlocking your character. So here's a week free of your brand new Obi-Wan Cron, right? And if that's the case of doing it, whatever, bad wording, Mihib, please change that shit. If it's more exclusive, Dagger, I'm right there with you. We'll share the soapbox. We can dance on it. But I just want to wait to see what it does, because to me it makes sense if, like, the character comes out Thursday, but we get the information to do coming up this week, and then Conquest starts Monday. So you basically would get a free level 9. So just real quick, you would get a free level 9, which would be what is that for? I mean, we'd have to translate the thing, but that's like
there's too many unknowns. We've beaten this horse to death. There's not even flesh left on the ribs, guys. We wrapped up here 5 minutes ago on this point, saying it's a wait and see posture, depending on what more information we get. So I think we can all cop to that.
Sure.
Yeah, I just mostly wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that, like you said, either this is bad wording, they're going to walk it back if it's not, or it is what I fear, and I'm not okay with it.
Yeah,
I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that.
I think it was a worthy point to call out, and I was absolutely going to wrap us up without even thinking to have mentioned it. So I am glad that you said something, for sure.
And I'm sorry for keeping us late.
No, it's okay.
No,
I'm sorry.
great.
I assumed that if one of you guys had to dip, you would have. So it's all cool. I'm cool if you're cool. But guys, thank you so much for today's show and rolling with the change. I know internally this is kind of our second crack at trying this format adjustment, but I definitely enjoyed today's discussion. Really salient points. So appreciate you guys.
I do like the change.
Yeah, good.
They seem more fun.
Hey, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it was a little less rote and a little bit more focused. So, yeah, appreciate you guys. For everybody out here watching this on YouTube, you already know where to find the show. Plotting and Scheming comes out on YouTube on Fridays. You can catch me live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Tassinix. If you want to look more into my account or into the accounts of my fellow Scheme team here, links to their GGs are in this YouTube video. If you want to be in touch, you can find me on Discord. That link will be in this video or on my channel in general. That's the place to find me. If you want to find out when I'm going to go live, I announce all that there. And last but not least, I produce, plotting and scheming here, as well as other GAC focused content, and I upload my VODs with chapters added here on YouTube. So definitely, if you like what you're seeing here, give us a subscribe, give us a like, and love to see your comments as well. If you want to support what we're doing here, by all means, check out my Patreon. Let's go ahead and throw that up on screen. Oops, wrong screen. Let's fix that real quick. There it is. All right, so check out patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile GAC player, there is something of interest to you. I want to immediately call out and thank my VIP Access patrons. These are the guys that jumped into the TAS house, took the plunge. You get early access to all of my YouTube release content, including plotting and scheming. So right now we're recording this on Tuesday. My patrons will have it here by 8 a.m. Wednesday morning. That can give you a little edge for your first round of the week and your planning. Hopefully, that gives you what you're looking for. But yeah, shout out and thanks to Andrew, White Wolf, Sam Vimes, Jobin4527, Stark Strategy Gamer, Rays Malbus, Brock Thudsteel, Renee Bebe, Deadpool Cow 28, Johnny B. Ottawa, JJ's Productions, Sweens 14, and Darth QP PMG. Stepping up into VIP Access Plus, taking advantage of a bundle with OmegaBot Patreon. If you guys watch my streams and see me go into that detailed scouting report on my opponents, that is a patron level feature of OmegaBot, and I can't say enough good about it for giving you an at-a-glance view of your opponent. But yes, thank you to Stryker and Esh Sotnikamp taking advantage of that. At VIP Access Premium, the $15 bundle that gets you double patron access for OmegaBot and for Hot Utils, which is just the premier tool for your mass inventory and mod management. Thank you to Quig, Ibanez, Sir Boss, and Trevor Boy Gaming. And of course, to the one, the only Nomads Reaper, sitting at top of the heap at Jester's Club Elite. He is by far the most awesome supporter I have. Just pops into streams from time to time, drops thousands of biddies, literally up to hundreds of subs. Just crazy support over the years. Really appreciate you, man. And of course, our special thanks to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters back in the day, bought me the mic I'm speaking to you on right now. He's long since quit the game, but we wish him well on the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, working fastidiously in the background, keeping my daughter out of my hair while I spend a bunch of time here with my friends talking about Swugga. Thank you so much. And of course, last but never least, to my co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha. Plotting and scheming would just be another opportunity to hear me monologue if it weren't for you guys. And you all bring something excellent to the quality of the show. Thank you all so much for the time that you take from your busy, home and family and work schedules, however you carve out the time to make our show. Appreciate you guys so much. All right, we're heading into week 3 here. This is the defense setting period for round 1 of week 3. Looking forward to what we see here. There will be a plotting and scheming week 3 episode coming out next week that'll wrap up week 3. And then, of course, there will be an inter-season episode, the preview episode for the next 3 versus 3 season. As it was earlier mentioned, we expect Datacron information to come out here within this next week. So I will likely be getting with Aesop Rock, one of the top GAC players in the world, to produce another video on the upcoming Datacron Set 15. Look out for that in the near future as well. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.